what's your secret? You got the kind of vibe that leaves one speechless. It could be model multitasking genius. Yeah, you got it all.
Welcome to Breakthrough Conversations with Rhoda and Company, where we uncover the stories behind confidence, behind courage, and the climb, and today, the compliment. Today, I'm joined by someone who's very special to me. She radiates joy, resilience, and unstoppable confidence. Shannon Norman. Thanks, Shannon, for joining me today.
Thank you for the invitation, Rhoda.
Yes, I'm so excited. Shannon is a powerhouse HR executive. She's a life coach. She's a founder of Accept the Compliment for Women. Her journey hasn't been easy. She's faced adversity from an early age, but she turned her pain into what? Purpose. And now she empowers women everywhere to walk boldly in their brilliance. Shannon also is the author of an inspiring book, Confident as a Peacock, The Recipe to Unleash Your Confidence. And our episode today is called Feathers of Confidence, Embracing Compliments and Celebrating Your Inner Peacock. So get ready for some wisdom, some warmth, and some real talk, self-worth, and soaring high. Let's dive in. Okay, Shannon, you ready?
After that intro, how can I not be?
Girl, that's all about you. So, Shannon, let's start with your backstory. What was life like growing up, and how did those early experiences shape who you are today?
Deep question, Rhoda. I grew up in a rural area in central Missouri on a farm, very small community. Everybody looked the same as I did. I need to go back and look and see how many people graduated. In my class, I think 32 maybe was my
Okay, it was small.
class size, and that was one of the biggest at my little school. So the majority of people that I started kindergarten with, I graduated with. So it was a small community. But my childhood experiences really led me to plan ahead and always have a plan and a backup plan. And those experiences really ended up leading me to believe that nobody's better than me.
Right.
And looking out for other people and sticking up for myself and other people around us, because we're all equal.
Right, right. That is amazing to hear that you grew up in such a small community. And typically, when people grow up in small towns, they don't have the lived experiences or the perceptions and perspective to think beyond what they know. But what I've learned about you, Shannon, is that you just said it. You are an advocate for yourself and for others. And it doesn't matter who they are and how they look. In fact, I see you as an ally. I see you go into the city, into the communities, and do work and give back. That isn't amazing, because that's not typical. So it speaks a lot to who you are as an individual and as a person. So I personally want to thank you, not only for your friendship, but for your allyship.
Well, that means a lot, Rhoda. It also makes me think of that I haven't gotten to tell you this. When I went to an event in the city, then I took my son and his girlfriend and expected that I was going to know one person. And the first person that I saw was Sean.
Really?
And I feel like I need to put myself in experiences that may or may not be uncomfortable, but experiences that other people live all of the time. And that might be that I'm the only white person in a room. Like, because if you're white and you're out there and you never put yourself in the position, there's different emotions and feelings. It makes you open your eyes and to see Sean and be like, oh yeah,
somebody you knew.
Yeah, right. And then it's like, okay, you know, it's comforting.
Yes.
And I think everybody needs allies.
Yeah, and that takes a lot of courage too, to be willing to be uncomfortable. And be the only in the room. Welcome to how we feel most of the time. So thank you for doing that. So when did you realize, Shannon, that you were on your own, and how did you find the strength to keep going?
So my family finally, after many years of dysfunction, fell apart my senior year in high school. And we all went different directions.
Okay.
I ended up back with my mom temporarily, but it was a lot of change for my mom. And at the time, I just felt like the right thing to do was to be on my own. So that's what prompted me. But when I look back to the moment, the day that our life all fell apart, the strength and courage that I could only have gotten from my creator. I went toe to toe with my narcissistic, abusive father, and I had no fear. And it felt really good.
Right.
And that was the first time, because I had the confidence of knowing that I would never have to be there again. And so I call upon that moment frequently in life when I'm not feeling as courageous and strong. And I'm also easily triggered when I see other people that are being beaten down, and I feel like they're the underdog.
Yes.
So that was a specific moment in time, but many, many years leading up to it.
How old were you when you left and went out on your own?
18.
Wow. And I see that in you, because even in stories that I share about myself, I can see you like, where they at? Let's go. Let's get this done. But you're also very encouraging and pour into me and others to help us believe in our inner strength. We're often stronger than we know. And so you learned that at a very young age. So you've had such a successful career in HR and in general. What core values have guided you in corporate spaces?
Well, first, it's taken many years to kind of be cultivated into the human being that I am now. And I've learned probably more of who I don't want to be and how I don't want to make people feel than some good leaders in life and role models.
Right.
But to answer your question, I would say humble, open and honest, courageous, a person of my word. I'm talking to an OCD kind of like if I make a commitment, like I've got to follow through with it.
Right.
And the final one would be assuming positive intentions, because I think, especially throughout my HR career, that when we dig into what blows up into conflict, so many times it's like, man, this could have been resolved or never even gotten this big if like people would have just said, wait a minute, that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. What do you mean by that?
Right. Addressed it in the moment.
Yeah, in the moment, and be courageous and and communicate with people openly.
Yes. That is so wise. Assuming positive intent until otherwise proven. I always add that on. Assuming the positive intent is where I think people get lost. Like, we forget that and we assume what we assume. And then it could lead to those challenges that you mentioned, especially in the HR profession. You often brought in when there is some big conflict.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I can't own that. There's a book that really made an impact to me. And I had it, and the 4 agreements.
The 4 agreements.
And I have it handy where from my home office I can reach at any moment. And they're all 4 equally important. But assuming positive intention is one
it's one of them. I've read that twice. Yeah. I keep it handy too. So that's a good one. So at what point did you realize that your life experiences could help others, leading to the work as a life coach?
I like to call it my midlife awakening.
Okay.
So it was about 7-8 years ago. And I had a feeling that I've heard so many other people describe, but I had never experienced it. And it was a feeling of kind of being lost and like, I'm here. It's not that I'm unhappy with my life, but there's there's a bigger calling.
Right.
There's something else. I'm here to be doing something else, maybe in addition to what I'm doing.
Right.
So it was at that point that I decided that I needed to go deep.
And I've recently, like in the last 5 years, had that similar like draw towards something else, because I have these conversations with myself, and I was like, I don't want to only be remembered as this great executive head of talent or culture, whatever role I'm in. It's got to be more to life than the 9 to 5, which I believe is just the means to an end. So yeah, I had that same calling as well. So what inspired you to launch Accept the Compliment for Women, and tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. It's been a journey. Now it's fun to look back on. At the time, I'm not a real patient person. It's gotten better the older I get. However, I was having a conversation with my family, and we were on the topic of the sorry jar. And so we were educating one of them that didn't know what the sorry jar was. And it's like, well, every time that you say sorry, then you have to put money in the jar. And how many people just out of habit now apologize when it's not theirs to apologize for. Like, man. And so I just kept stewing on that. And then it turned into thinking, well, so many people don't accept compliments. Why don't people accept compliments? And then every day, this is on my mind. I'm like, why is this nagging me? Why? And then I'm like, well, there should be a movement.
Right.
And it should be accept the compliment. And I don't know if it was, I know it was more than weeks. I don't know how many months, 2 or 3 months. And every day I'm like, why am I so passionate about this? So one morning, getting ready, putting on makeup, and it hit me. I'm so passionate about compliments because of a lifelong compliment that was given to me as a child when I was going through this challenging family dynamic. And it seemed to, or at least I recognized it when there were really hard times.
Right.
And I have a specific situation that I link back to. I'm like, that's the why. I can't do this.
Right.
If I don't know the why. And so I was connecting all of the dots. I'm like, that's what I need to do. That is my biggest purpose and I when I had that midlife awakening period, then I reflected on my entire career in human resources and like, when was I the happiest? And it was when, well, I'll back up. My superpower, I think, is seeing the good in people.
Yes.
And then helping them see it.
Yes.
And bringing the best out. And like that's just motivational and inspiring. And so I'm like, this is all linked together.
Right. That's amazing. What's the lifelong compliment you received?
It's about my smile.
Yes.
And
so cute.
In different ways of, oh my goodness, your smile will light up a room. Your smile is contagious.
For the listeners and viewers, the lesson here is when you are called or meant to do something, it nags at you and it pulls you toward it. So don't ignore that, because often that is one of the purposes that was meant for you to deliver and gift to the world. So I'm so glad you accepted that compliment and that calling. So why do you think so many women struggle to accept compliments, and what happens when we finally learn to receive them?
Oh, I love the 2-part question.
Yes.
I think, and I'm talking about women, but I have learned through leading this movement that there are a lot of men that have these challenges too.
Right.
So men out there listening and viewing, like we're talking to you too.
Yes.
We all have so much negative talk, and I really think increasing that awareness, because I think so many people go through every day and they're looking in the mirror and they're like, oh my gosh, look at that mole. Oh, my hair's thinning. Like whatever the comment, whatever that is about themselves, and they play it over and over and over, and they believe it, and they beat themselves down, And so then when others give them compliments, it's natural and their instinct to deflect those. And I think that's because they don't believe in them.
Yeah.
And there's the awareness is the first piece, is knowing that that's happening. And then what it's like, what it feels like when somebody really accepts the compliment, and it doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
It's a work in progress. But the first step is being aware. And now that your listeners are this topic is on their mind,
Yes.
I promise that they're going to be paying attention, and they're going to be looking at the compliments that they give,
Yes,
and the compliments that they receive.
Yes.
And so the awareness. And then the next piece is, when you deflect a compliment, you can either recognize it in your mind and not be vocal, or you could actually say to the person giving it, oh my gosh, hold up, I'm working on accepting compliments.
Yes.
So I'm going to back up
Yes.
and just say thank you.
Yes.
And then the impact that it has, like, you stand a little taller.
Yeah. It's a confidence builder. Yeah.
It is. And it's the same. And there's research done by other people, not scientists,
Right.
that show that the same brain waves are going off when you receive a compliment as whenever you receive money.
Wow.
And then you get into this habit, and then you're believing it.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden that self-talk, it changes.
Yes.
It's positive.
Yes. The stories we tell ourselves. I love, love, love giving compliments.
I know you do.
I struggle to accept them. But since I've met you, I have been practicing simply saying thank you. They may say, oh, that's a cute outfit you have on. And then I'll be like, oh, I don't feel cute. I actually verbalize that. Yeah, I got to stop that. I got to practice every morning giving myself a compliment.
Yeah. And you some fun ways. You can get a dry erase marker and write it on your mirror so that you see it first thing in the morning. I can share all kinds of other creative ideas, but it makes a difference.
Writing it on the mirror. What else comes to mind?
Yeah.
Fun ways.
Sticky notes. You write yourself sticky notes.
Yes.
And you put them in different places that you're going to see throughout the day. You your password on your computer.
Yes.
How many times do you enter that?
Right.
Make it something that is like, you are beautiful.
Right.
You are worthy.
Yes.
You have gorgeous eyes.
Yes.
Like whatever that is. And the more that we give compliments and pay attention, then there's also the opportunity of receiving that.
Yes.
And so it's kind of a two-sided coin. So you practice on one side and you'll see benefit on the other.
I love it. I love it. For our listeners and our viewers, hope you captured that. Shannon just shared with us some really neat tips and simple ways, even fun ones, to help us remember to give ourselves a compliment. I particularly love the password one because, we have passwords to everything. And we could be telling ourselves these positive things all day long. So thank you for that. Yeah. So talk about the concept of peacock. How does it connect to confidence and self-expression?
Yeah. So during this journey, it's one step after the other. And if you're going to write a book, it has to have a title.
Yes.
So I will say, if you haven't read Confident as a Peacock, you can go read it and you can get the full story.
Yes.
But there's a connection that made perfect sense. And then through this journey, I learned that a peacock is known as being the most confident bird. And I think peacocks are absolutely beautiful.
They are.
And then I think, well, if someone is really confident as a peacock, how would they act differently?
Yes.
Because if I imagine myself as a beautiful peacock, with beautiful feathers, and my shoulders back, strutting around, like that, like what? Who wouldn't want to do that? That's fun and energetic and contagious.
Yes.
So that's part of it, and then the rest can be found in my book.
Yes. And where can I get the book?
My book is on Amazon.
Yes.
Just do a search, Confident as a Peacock, and it'll show up.
Yes. Get the book if you haven't. I hope this conversation inspires you to do so. So, Shannon, What is your favorite ingredient from the recipe to unleash your confidence?
So it can change from day to day
Mm-hmm.
because there's the recipe has a few ingredients. But my favorite one at this moment in life is opinions don't matter.
Mm.
And that sounds really simple, but to really live that every day, opinions don't matter. Like, I'm the only person that knows what I'm going through, what decisions I'm making, what's influencing those decisions. And it's real easy for everybody out in the world to sit back and judge and critique, and that's okay.
Right.
To get to the point of, I don't care what their opinion
Right.
is. Because if they had the whole story, maybe they would see where I was coming from.
Yes.
But I don't need to go tell them my
Right.
whole story. I just have to know that I'm at peace with it. And when I lay my head on my pillow at night, that I can go to sleep.
Yes. That is so powerful. Once you have mastered that opinions don't matter, and what matters the most is what you tell yourself. Boy, that's half the life battle right there. That's amazing. So what's a compliment that changed your life?
The compliment about my smile.
Yes.
Because as a young child going through what I was going through, it made me feel seen and like I wasn't broken, and I had some beauty in me. And the biggest is maybe there is a creator. Maybe there is God, because at really tough times in your life, you really question a lot.
Yes. Yes. And you always smiling. Always keep smiling. So what's one word to describe your life today?
Peaceful.
Peaceful. Yes. Maybe that's why I like being around you so much too, because I do feel a sense of peace and a sense of everything is going to be okay. Yeah, when I share things with you that in my mind they feel so big and dark and scary, but when I share it with you, it's like a sigh of relief.
Well, I take that as a compliment.
Yeah.
And I think that faith is the biggest part of how I can be at so peace, and it makes me happy to know that I project that.
Yes, you do. Yeah. Thank you for doing that. So what advice, Shannon, do you have for a woman or a man listening right now who doubts their worth?
Find a cheerleader and make this a priority. Make them a priority. The number one priority.
Yes.
Because all of the things we've talked about won't happen if we're looking externally and focused on everybody else around us.
Yes.
And we're all going to have hard times. And the people you surround yourself with, like, look back to childhood. And if you had parents giving you good advice,
right,
the advice of, look at the 10 closest people around you.
Right.
And that's what your future looks like.
Yes.
You have to have cheerleaders to help keep you up when it gets hard.
Yes. So a support system.
Yes.
Yeah. And then being your own cheerleader, your biggest cheerleader.
Yes.
And then a supporting cast. So, Shannon, I know you offer this Accept the Compliment as a workshop. How can someone get in touch with you should they have an interest in experiencing that workshop?
Yeah. They can reach out to me. I'm pretty easy to find. You can even Google search Shannon Norman. I'm not the attorney, though. Find me on LinkedIn. Find me on Facebook, Instagram, my website, Shannon Norman Coaching. So I'm really accessible.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what's next for you, Shannon?
Growing the Accept the Compliment movement. I've been focused in a variety of different areas, and I've been doing a lot of continued soul searching, and that's where my passion is growing the movement and making an impact across the world. So more and more people really accept the compliment, and they really feel good about themselves.
This is an opportunity for us in the world, those listening, watching, to get behind you and help build some momentum around this Accept the Compliment movement. And let's get on board with accepting that compliment. I really appreciate you, Shannon, being here. Again, Shannon Norman, who is an author of Accept the Compliment, author of Confident as a Peacock and the founder of Accept the Compliment. Shannon, thank you for showing up today with your feathers on and showing out for us and opening your heart so wide for the world to experience. So your story is truly a testament to the power of choosing confidence, even when life gives you every reason to doubt yourself. So I really, really appreciate that. You've reminded us that confidence isn't loud necessarily. It's rooted, it's earned, and it's meant to be celebrated. So to our listeners, go ahead, accept the compliment, give the compliment, take up space, and remember your inner peacock was never meant to be caged. I'm Rhoda, and this has been another powerful breakthrough conversation.
Hey, what's your secret? You got the kind of vibe that leaves me speechless. It could be model multitasking genius. Yeah, you got it all. Hey, what's your story? A kick-ass mom and 40 under 40. A soccer practice in your high heel glory. Yeah, you do it all.